Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to episode 16 of my Let's Play series for Satisfactory 1.0. In the last episode we hooked up our new power plant to the power grid, and that allowed us to actually get rid of our old coal power generators, which means we have now a lot of coal ready to use, and it's finally time to go much deeper into steel production than we have up to this point. Now with that in mind, let's quickly jump back in the game and have a quick look where we left off last time. And here we are, right on top of the lake which held the aforementioned coal power generators. Now, currently we're still waiting on this awesome thing here to get rid of some of the leftover materials, so we might as well make use of that time by putting down a walkway along this outer edge here all the way to the bottom. As well as the foundations, I'm going to build my actual factory on top, which will be somewhere in this area here. This time I'm going to try to keep as much of the lake open as I can, because I'm also going to need a lot of water extractors, not only for my main base, but also a little bit for what I have planned over here. And here we go. After a good amount of trial and error, the walkway now roughly follows the terrain. I also already put in 6 Mark IV conveyors to transport all of the steel ingots from down here up to the main base, where they will be further processed later on. I've also already marked where I will build my main 3 factories down here, and as you can see, I once again completely underestimated how much space I need, and there is not really much left of the lake. Fortunately enough, this here is actually high enough that I can actually put my water extractors below it in case I actually need them. But we'll have to see about it when we get to that part. But now it's time for these factories here, and for that I have a series of blueprints I designed a few years ago in a previous playthrough, but I never really got to use them, so I think it would be a waste to not do it here. I did give them a little bit of a facelift, but for the most part they are more or less unchanged, and the first one is the entrance, and you can see this is from a time where I really tried to make things look interesting and put way more time into it than really needed. So anyway, this is the entrance part, which will... let's actually wait until this is all in place. So the raw materials come in from the top, get distributed to the sides, make their way down through this entrance area here, and then to the further processing at the back. The steel ingots then are moved below the floor and then over there. I also have a way to control the lights, and a way to control the power for the rest of the factory. And now we have the sights for the entrance. So let's see. Okay. Looks like I apparently have a little bit too much in there. A few of those here need to be removed actually. So let's start on this side then, with that part mirrored. And that needs to be in line there, and line there. And yep, that looks good. Then I can, once this is all visible, get rid of this little part here. That is a bit of an extra, so I don't need right and the left side, but can just have a more or less symmetrical setup. I just need to remove a little bit from. So that is looking good. And that's that side cleaned up too. And now let's just work on one side for the moment. And actually this is in the way of what I'm going to build right now. Yeah, this is also in the way. Yeah, let's not worry about this too much. Anyway, we have next up the sides, and those will have to be put in the correct spot. I will like to actually change a few things about in the ceiling in a little bit, but that is also something for a bit later. So then okay, that's one side done. Then let's move in this part of the floor. I don't really have a blueprint for the center segment, since it's just swooping stuff through, and I didn't really want to bother with that. At least when I made the original blueprints. Now, for the internals, we have another blueprint, which is this setup here. I just need to make sure this is positioned correctly. This needs to be one further down, I think. Yeah. Okay, the idea for this is also pretty simple. In the middle, we have the coal and the iron ore, which is then moved or split to the sides. The iron is turned into iron ingots. The coal is directly moved into the foundry together with the ingots, and that is then turned into solid steel ingots. And those then make their way to the front again. And yeah, basically, I will have 5 in a row here, then a little bit of a gap, then another 5. Same thing on the other side mirrored. And once that is in place, there is also a little bit planned for after that segment. So, about an hour later, the smelters and foundries are now all in place and connected, which means it's time for the last part at the back here, which will contain 8 coal generators. For one very simple reason, I have 4 coal nodes at the back there, and I only need 3 for the steel production, and I'm not a fan of wasting the coal there. So, now let's get started, and the first step is actually getting a little bit more space, so this will have to go. Then I need a 2-high foundation, notched a bit to the side. That looks good. Then the small pillar. And that needs to be 6 in total. And for now, let's just make enough over here for one of those generators. Not sure why this is above height now. I will have to live with that. Doesn't really matter much. It's just a little bit of cosmetics there. Of course, this should be at least in the correct spot here. Same over there. Good. That's looking pretty good already. Now it's time for the generator. Needs to go around this side here. And I think I need to move it one forward. Yep, looks good. Then I can grab one of these here. Place it here. And why can't I nudge sideways? The nudging is broken somehow. Oh, come on. You're kidding, right? You're kidding, right? Oh, come on. What the hell? Can I maybe nudge it? This I can nudge for some reason. Okay. So let's move this in position. Then I'm going to grab the correct one. And just control click to replace it. Okay. Now, if I've built this correctly, I should be able to connect in those two. Yep, that looks good. And then I should be able to put in a wall hole right there. And connect these two like so. Then I can color code that. And that's basically the idea on how I want to connect this done. Now the coal will come from over there, it's just an overflow. And the water will come from the top there. This pipe will make its way all the way to the side, then down. But that will have to wait until I have all of those here in place. And here at the top, what I'm going to do is, for one, I need a roof. And then I need again... Is the wall? Let's grab that wall here. A wall. Then a 4-high roof. Then over here. And then just going to quickly finish this part of the roof so you get a better idea of what is planned here. So, need the high version, then I need the inverted version. Then just another to close this off in there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I think I'm also going to put some minor dividers in here between the various power generators. But that is pretty much the general idea on how I am going to connect everything. And now, as I said, I just need 8 coal generators. And once those are hooked up, we are going to finish with this build here. And that's all of the generators in place, at least for this build here. Which means it's now time for this blueprint here, which I just need to squeeze in right here. Yep, looks good. So that's now also in place. And yeah, now I just need to add the side modules as I did with the front, and obviously connect the pipes below the floor with those pipes here, which are coming from all the way over there. And besides of that, just a little bit of cleanup over here, and it looks like I actually overshot a bit with the length here. I don't really need that much, so I can actually shorten all of this here a little bit. And I'm actually pretty happy with that, since I won't run into major issues with this over there then. Yeah, quite fortunate in a sense. But anyway, let's get this here properly finished up. And there we go, everything is now properly connected on this end too, which means the last part to get this running is actually connecting the inputs, but that will have to wait until I have 2 more copies of this build. So I guess I'll see you in a couple hours once I have finished with that. And here we go, the factories are now all built, and hopefully I didn't miss any connections, but we'll see that once everything starts up. Now, next up, it's time for the inputs, and those are pretty simple. I just go a bit higher, and then let's add a couple inverted frames on each side, like so. On top of that, I need a flat roof. And then a double high wall. Followed by another roof. And then just the same at the front, but for now, let's actually grab these here and put them in the correct spots. Same for this one here. And this doesn't look like... Oh, those are in the wrong spot actually. So, then I need the corresponding Mark IV lifts. And the question is, in which direction do I want to build them? Yeah, let's make it outwards like that. And that's the general idea for the actual input, and then I just close this off. And on the inside then I will obviously have a couple splitters and conveyors moving everything in place. Now, where do those materials come from? Well, I have a pure iron node somewhere over there. I have 6 impure iron nodes somewhere in this direction, 4 normal coal nodes in this direction, and then water I think I'm actually going to grab also from over there. And yeah, the next step is just, well, building the connections for the other 2 factories, and then obviously getting the materials here too proper place. So, a bit later, this is starting to take shape. I went with a little U shape around in the outer edge here, all the way to this pure iron node, which is already connected with a miner, but currently the conveyor just stops in this corner there. I will have to properly split this and merge this with the conveyors which will come from the top there later on. I'm also still missing in the coal. But what I already have properly connected is the water, which I'm grabbing from over here with 4 overclocked water extractors and 2 pipes, which make already their way all the way around the U and then get split off into those coal generators here. So that is already working. And yeah, now it's just more of the same. So let's get first of all the coal in place. And of course, I've just run out of fused modular frames. That is a bit annoying. I'm also pretty low on supercomputers, I just noticed. Yeah, okay. New plan for now. I'm first going to make my way back to the home base to set up a production of a few more of those supercomputers. Just like this here. And now, as I know that the fused frames need a lot of aluminum casings, let's quickly grab what I have in reserve over here. So I'm not depending on the dimensional depot. And yeah, now let's make our way over to the power plant and build a temporary production line for that. And there we go. I've just grabbed some of the nitrogen from over here, which is not currently completely used up since, well, the nitric acid is also not running at 100%. And yeah, now we should get a lot of those fused frames, especially since I have Summer's Loop this here. And I should potentially speed this up a little bit. I have the power and I don't want to wait too long. Now, while I'm here, I might as well also continue with this second tower here, and depending on how far I can get, maybe we can start on the third one. And just as I hoped, I was able to finish with the second tower and even start on the third, which brings me up to, let me quickly check, yeah, about 93 gigawatts, which is a lot of power. Now over here, okay, this seems to be done. Yep, looks good. So I can get rid of all of this here. And then clear out my inventory again. And with that, it's time to get back to the steel facility and the miners over there. And a bit of work later, we are now getting all of the coal we need, already properly balanced onto the 3 lines for the 3 factories. I've also connected the pure iron node to those 2 factories here via a splitter in this spot there. Although the factory at the back there is only getting half the amount it needs, the rest will have to come from the top. One thing I will have to do though at a later point, and that is pretty similar to the oil processor, is this Mark 5 conveyor here actually needs to be a Mark 6 conveyor, but I haven't that unlocked yet, so I can't do that right now. Yeah, those factories are already running, so basically self-powered via the coal generators, and some of those smelters and foundries have already started producing some steel. But for now, it's time to get to the 6 impure nodes for iron ore up here. And in that case, I actually only need Mark 2 miners and not the Mark 3 miners, so I won't really have any issues with missing resources. And that's a wrap. Now with the iron ore coming from the top, this factory is basically finished, except for upgrading the one conveyor I mentioned earlier. And yeah, this is now all done. Except there is one last thing I would like to add at the halfway over there. So basically, up to this point, every big factory had a main power switch, and this one here is not going to be an exception to that rule, so I'm going to... I could put it there. No, I'm going to put it up here. Yeah, definitely going to put it up here, so overlooking the entire factory as a whole. So let's grab that main priority power switch. I just need to rotate this a little bit around and maybe... Oh, that's a bit too high. Moved it inwards a little bit. Yep, that looks good. So then I'm just going to rename this to steel main. And then just make sure this is actually at the correct spot. That means I can also move these here over. And turn this one on. And now I just need to connect this here into the line. And then we are completely done with this here. There is one more thing I would like to add over here though. And that is just a little platform with a couple awesome things to get rid of the overflow here. And also, just temporarily, a couple constructors producing the steel beams, because in the last episode I ran out of steel beams when I was building, and I want to avoid that situation for my next project, which will require a decent amount if I'm not wrong. So let's get all of this here finished ASAP. And there we go. So until I actually build a proper factory, this here will have to handle all of my required steel beams. I've also added 6 in total, 1 for each of the belts, and yeah, now this should run at 100% capacity, so at some point in the future I'll likely come back and just check if everything is running at full capacity, although obviously I will have to do this once I have the last missing belt upgrade in place. But with that said, I think we have reached a good point to stop with this episode here. We finally have a professional and pretty nice looking setup for steel ingot production. And in the next episode, we are going to go into aluminium production. And that brings us to the end of this episode here. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and comment. It really helps with the algorithm. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day. And well, see ya.